That's a HIPAA violation right there.
You're listening to the Help Me with HIPAA podcast, where HIPAA and humor collide to make learning fun. Your delightful hosts are Donna Grindle and David Sims. Relax, HIPAA help is on the way.
This is Laurie with Gastro Associates in Gainesville, Georgia, and you're listening to Help Me with HIPAA podcast.
Thank you for that intro. I am David Sims of HIPAA for MSPs and Security First IT. And joining me is Donna Grindle of Carden.
Good morning, David. You're a little wound up.
I am. I'm so excited because I got my acceptance into the Donna Grindle fan club.
Oh, shut up. Jeez, you got into it right away, man. You nailed it. Like, hit me with it instantly.
Oh, gosh. The Donna Grindle fan club.
Moving right along.
No. We are not moving right along. Let us shake and bake on this for a minute.
Shake and bake.
So Donna is featured on the Caveat podcast, for which I've not yet listened. She is being interviewed by Dave Bittner and I think Ben Yellen.
Yes.
Yellen. That's a cool last name, Yellen.
I'd be yelling.
Yeah. So anyway, I haven't had a chance to listen to it. So as I scroll through the transcript, I noticed that somewhere around 41 minutes or so in, that there is talk about how awesome the interview was. And so congratulations, Donna, on having an awesome interview. Mm-hmm. And then as I hit the 42-minute, 16-second mark, I noticed that now Ben Yellen is saying he is part of the Donna Grindle fan club. As I about spewed my coffee all over my screen. Did not know there was a Donna Grindle fan club. But I quickly got my membership in and I have been accepted.
No, you haven't.
No, I haven't.
Ben and Dave, they've been accepted. Your problem.
I am going to order a Donna Grindle fan club t-shirt.
They had no idea the torture that was going to put me through.
I will be wearing the t-shirt, hopefully at the next boot camp. So we'll see. I will find the craziest picture of Donna I can find and plaster it on the shirt.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Not saying it might be a little doctored. You know, it might be a deep fake. Who knows? So, but I didn't know that you were doing this, Donna. Somehow you went behind my back and started this whole fan club thing.
So the podcast interview was great, and I do like it's a new podcast by the Cyberwire folks, and it is about privacy law and policy. And so they were talking about HIPAA, and I just sent an email that said, hey, this, and this. And they were like, well, you want to be on the show? And I was on the show, and I was just doing my thing. So I had no idea that the other stuff was in there until I listened to it. And so we'll have a link to it, but it's one of the, the Caveat podcast, Caveat.
Yeah, I'll be listening to it on my drive this afternoon, and at least I know 41 minutes in to pull over before they get to that, and I start laughing.
Jeez. I really like their podcast because they are talking about all these different privacy law things, and so I nerded out about it before that happened, and as soon as I heard it, I went, oh, guys, thank you for the compliment. But no, I'm never going to hear the end of it. My co-host is not as nice as you are to each other. But the good news is we can move on.
Okay. Just for now. I will let it go. But yeah, not for long.
That'll come back. That'll come back on me. So we do have a shout out to Lucas, I believe Noki, Noki. His Twitter is at ZPrototype2.
Mm-hmm.
Tweeted out this week, hands down the best podcast for anyone in InfoSec. Thanks, guys, for all the knowledge and entertainment I got from you. Keep up the great work. And the top 5 are Darknet Diaries, also our favorite.
Yep.
7 Minute Sec, Purple Squad Sec, and Help Me with HIPAA. That's 4. Help Me with HIPAA.
It is 4 in it. So what did we miss? Red Team podcast?
Yeah, maybe just I don't know. I don't have the whole thing up on the screen. I just have the screenshot I sent you. So, but thanks, guys, and we appreciate your support and sharing us out. And we will do our best to keep up the good work, but you can tell it's hard for me to drag David along with that.
Well, it's because you're so distracted by the fan club work you're doing.
Shut up. So tell them about your day yesterday, because there's a few points we need that David brought up. He had a great day yesterday.
Yeah, so yesterday we had OCR show up for an event that we put on, and I'll tell the story. I'm not worried about the people listening to the podcast because it's fairly obvious they don't do anything around HIPAA except their once a year training. Mm-hmm. But long story short, there was some people that came in and they were a bit distraught that this was not going to count toward their annual HIPAA training, to the point where they were going to leave the event because it wasn't worth their time. And if you could have seen the look on my face when they were having this discussion, it was more like, WTF all the way across. Like, I literally said, do you not understand who these people are? This is OCR. I mean, you can talk to them now and ask questions, or you can wait until you're under investigation and ask questions. Which one would you rather do? Mm. And I eventually got to the point where I was like, I feel sorry for your patients, because you obviously probably have a lot of problems going on. So anyway, they decided to stay. And this, about 15 maybe minutes in of the discussion on civil rights, which was before the HIPAA discussion, we discovered that they are violating the civil rights of their patients.
And they were very outspoken about it. We don't do it that way, kind of thing.
Yeah. Like, nah, this is how we do it. And then the lady says, I advise you to stop. You are breaking the law. Yeah. So it was like, so here we go. People that didn't want to stay, we find out 15 minutes into it that they're violating the law, breaking civil rights law. And then, we continue on, and it's probably a 2.5 hour session. And, we uncovered quite a number of HIPAA violations as well. So, for the people that didn't want to stay because it wasn't going to check the box for their annual HIPAA training, no surprise there. They found out that they were violating the law in more ways than they could count.
Yes. Well, yeah. And let's just say David was less than patient. He had to allow other people to interact with them.
Look, I shook my head so much yesterday that I literally have to go to a chiropractor appointment this afternoon. Because my neck now hurts from shaking my head so much.
Well, and you did get one other piece of information that had never occurred to us before. When we teach people how to spell HIPAA.
Oh, yeah. So, right. So HIPAA, we cover this extensively.
Yes.
It's the very first thing you learn in our boot camp.
Yeah.
We do the cheer and the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
And then, Allison from OCR says that she had a letter from an attorney come in, and everywhere HIPAA is spelled HIPHA.
HIPAA. Ha. Ha.
So I don't know if he's trying to be funny, or maybe he just finished watching the Joker movie.
But if it's spelled that way every time,
every time.
in the letter. And the letter was about HIPAA, so it was mentioning it several times, I'm sure. So HIPAA is wrong. Please do not do that. And I actually, one of our business partners, somehow, some way, HIPAA has gotten into his spell check as a proper thing. And he's not a techie enough guy to go find it. But he sends me something, and down at the bottom it says something, and it says HIPAA. And I sent back, because it's always something, and I send back to him. He's a good friend, and I say, "Do you do that to torture me?" And he swears that his spell check's doing it, and he's about to fling his computer into the river near his house.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is not HIPAA. It's HIPAA.
Yeah, hip AA.
Yeah, because David said maybe it's hip like AH. No, and then he went off on another tangent. So anyway, there's our stuff.
I said down south we spell it HIPER. That's a HIPAA violation right
there. So you can tell it's taken a while just to get him down to this level to be able to record today. All right, so don't forget that the HIPAA boot camp for 2020 is...
and if you spell it wrong, you can't get to it. It's got to spell it right, thehipabootcamp.com.
No, when I tell people about my podcast and they go and they search for it and they can't find it, I said, "How did you spell HIPAA?" And every time, that's the problem. So, maybe you should listen. But 2020 session for spring is March 24th, 25th, 26th here in Tucker, Georgia.
Yeah, that's probably easier to spell.
And you can get information, registration, all those things at the website for this episode, as well as thehipabootcamp.com. And if you just want to register, go to helpmewithhippa.com/HBC.
Mm-hmm.
And you can sign up. Listen, now all of a sudden you're quiet. I knew this was going to happen. It's like once you got it all out.
I'm just waiting.
All right. So I've done all the business parts, and I'm ready to get started talking about the topics of the day, which are 2 new settlements, very costly PHI mistakes.
Yes, we will get into that after this message.
2/3 of small businesses that experience a cybersecurity breach end up closing their doors within 6 months. Cyber criminals are targeting your practice and coming after your most sensitive data. Visit us online and schedule a time to talk about what you can do to protect yourself, your patients, and your practice. Our website is securityfirstit.com. That's securityfirstit.com.
Does your business work with medical practices? As a medical practice business associate, do you realize that if you have access to patient information, you have to follow the same HIPAA rules as your client? Call Carden today at 678-292-5001 so they can assess your privacy and security practices to help ensure you are protected and prepared. Visit cardenhq.com to learn more. All right, we're back. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, we're going to talk about some costly PHI mistakes because we had 2. Actually, I had 1 landed yesterday.
Yeah, I was, writing this up and saying, well, what are we going to talk about in here? And then I get my email that says that there was another one. Mm-hmm. So, and as we said, we know there's a bunch of them that are due.
Yeah, so thanks, Roger, for sending this our way. You knew we needed some more stuff for our show. That brings me to something else, completely unrelated.
Okay.
Completely unrelated. But before we start down this path,
squirrel.
I know, but it's a big squirrel, so we need to look at it. So I find out that someone from ONC listens to our podcast.
You did?
Yeah, and they said that listening to the podcast has made a tremendous difference in how they do their job and others around them in the ONC do their job. So, bam.
Bam.
So, I've always said they're listening. Now I have proof. Okay, carry on.
All right. Now people are like, how do you know this, David? You know, it's a big squirrel. And we just said, yeah, there's a squirrel. And off we go.
Yeah, just saying. OCR listens. ONC listens. Raj listens.
Oh, geez, don't. Yeah. Yeah, you're gonna get a cease and desist order. Keep it up.
FBI listens. NSA's listening.
Oh, jeez. All right, so back to our show. This is gonna be tough, folks. This is what I have to go through when he's wound up with his peppermint mocha. Yeah.
Tis the season.
Yeah. I drink the harsh black coffee. He has peppermint mocha. There's a big difference between us.
Yes, I definitely hold my pinky up as I swallow.
You do like the finer things in your coffee.
I do.
All right. So, first of all, both of these we're going to hope that they're mistakes.
Okay.
You know, we try to err on the side of it is not absolute. We don't
blatant failure.
You know, so it's a mistake. It's not like the person sitting on the front row listening to OCR with their arms crossed saying that's not what we do. We violate the law.
No, I saw that.
Anyway, I know that's, you know, when you got that, there's always a big thing to be concerned about. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so the first one that came out is with a $2,175,000 HIPAA settlement with Centara Hospital System, which is Virginia, North Carolina. And I have to say that way back in the day, I worked with the Centara clinics in the 90s. So they've been around a long time.
Wow.
Back in, you know, a previous life.
Yeah.
Actually, even the late 80s, I think. So,
goodness.
Anyway, now they're huge. They got 12 acute care hospitals, 300 what they call care sites, which assume, you know, clinics and outpatients and that kind of stuff. So they're not little. And this goes to people who say, well, the big folks, they have more resources, so they can get this done. No. No, it's pretty clear. 2.175 million, pretty clear, and a 2-year cap. So here's the thing. In April 17th, 2017, so the day after my birthday, they get a OCR receives a complaint from a patient that says, hey, I got my bill from Centara, and it has patient's name, account number, dates of service, all in the same from somebody else. And so they go look, and Centara has reported that 8 patients were impacted by that breach. And that's what they turned in to HHS.
Okay.
8. Okay. Clearly, that was a mistake because when OCR started asking questions, and apparently there was a deeper dive, because from what I understand, Centara claimed that a statement showing Centara Hospital, the patient's name, the account number, and the dates of service was not PHI. Now, we've had this discussion many, many times, Mr. Sims. It is indeed PHI. Okay. If I can connect an individual, or within reason close to a single individual, to their health care through a provider, it's PHI. Anyways, after they go and look at it a little bit more, it appears that they sent out 16,342 statements, or billing statements, I think is what it was, and 577 patients were added in to those patients. So multiple people got bills for other people they didn't know, and 577 patients were sent out to the wrong people. They were kind of mixed in with the 16,000 that went out. That's a mistake.
Yeah. Should have been $4.99.
Oh, jeez. But it's certainly not 8.
No, that's a stretch.
Yeah, 8. So there's a big difference. So, OCR started asking more questions. And not only did they find that clearly the investigation was not handled properly, and the definition of a data breach was not evaluated properly, and there were not patient notifications done properly, because 8 versus 577. But they also found that there was no BAA in place between the provider of care and the business associate that takes care of billing. And so this happens a lot with these complex management structures that they build now with the businesses, where there's the entity that the employees work for that is, one thing, and then the entity that provides care is another thing, and there's all these different businesses and LLCs, and it's a very complicated environment, and we sit down and have to figure out who needs a BAA with who, even though it's the same company.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's, okay, this company is going to do the billing and management for this practice, but since we've got the infrastructure, we're going to also help out some other practices. So now I'm a business associate of myself, and I'm a business associate of other practices, but that's a different kind of business associate. It's very complex, and that's why, we always say you got to understand your BAAs. You can't, I went to one of our clients we were trying to structure one, and I'm like, I'm going to need to go there and draw this. And yeah, we still have pictures of the whiteboard drawing with all the different entities and arrows going back and forth. So it's important that you understand the business relationship, not just the work that you do. You have to understand what the relationship is. Well, clearly they should have plenty of attorneys that would have figured this out, and there was no BAA in place between the entity that was part of Centera that does the billing and stuff and the entity that does the care. Even though it was all the same thing, it was still separate entities, and you have to have it structured properly, because this entity over here had a free-for-all, technically. They were able to say, look, we didn't have to keep it clear. Technically, they didn't say that. And the thing is, this is where we always tell people, look, when you have a problem, when something occurs and you hear data breach or you have to notify patients of something, start getting your ducks in a row. Go look for every single thing that could possibly be wrong in your program and start taking care of it right then. Mm-hmm. If you haven't done it before then, you do it then.
And start backdating like crazy.
Oh, shit. I would like a security risk analysis dated 2017, please. We're not getting that many calls about that this year. We usually get a lot of them, but, I think people are finally getting that. But they finally do sign one. So the complaint came in April 17th. OCR started asking questions. They didn't get a proper BAA signed until October 2018. Come on, man. Mm-hmm. We should start our own come on, man episodes. But in here, he ain't playing with his quote, your friend Raj, as you call him. He ain't playing with his quote in this one at all. Mm-mm. So, yeah, go ahead and you have some fun with that one.
Yep. So Roger Severino is quoted as saying, HIPAA compliance depends on accurate and timely self-reporting of breaches because patients and the public have a right to know when sensitive information has been exposed. When healthcare providers blatantly fail to report breaches as required by law, they should expect vigorous enforcement action by OCR. Vigorous. Yes. So
Blatantly
yes.
fail. So, we're trying to say it was a mistake, but then again, when you read things that the OCR puts out, they generally you read between the lines, but when they say blatantly, that's not reading between the lines.
I think Roger and me are kind of hitting the same spot with dealing with people.
Oh no, you're getting fed up.
I just get tired of this.
There's that underlying sense that maybe there wasn't a lot of cooperation going on.
Mm-hmm.
So, they agreed to the $2 million, blah, 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 and a 2-year cap that covers, and this I thought was interesting. They specifically listed 10 of the 12 hospitals. So I don't know what's going on in the settlement document that the cap applies to, and it focuses specifically on getting breach notification policies and procedures in line.
Okay.
Now, if they are smart, they will do everything, not just that.
Mm-hmm.
Because all it's going to take is one more thing happening, and oh my goodness.
Yeah. Well,
OMG, it's going to be bad.
It wouldn't be the first time we've seen OCR come in and say, you need to do these things, and then they go away, and these things don't get done.
Speaking of that, it's a perfect segue into our second one, which is the other costly PHI mistake, which I think you're leading in, because this is a Corunda Medical LLC. So it's in Florida, like Naples, and, they've got primary care and pain management stuff. So they're seeing about 2,000 patients a year in a variety of locations in I think Southwest Florida, Central Florida area. And this is a patient's right of access case. It's only the second one. But what did you hear yesterday in the OCR session about the enforcement initiative? How was it mentioned before this came out?
Well, they said, they being OCR said that they are doing a very, very big push to enforce the right of access.
Vigorous.
Yes, vigorous.
Vigorous.
So anything that's coming in where it's a complaint about a patient's right of access, they are nailing them.
Yeah, so they ain't playing, because they announced at the beginning of the year that this was going to be an enforcement initiative.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, they announced it in March at the National HIPAA Summit. Director Severino did the keynote and said this year we are going to do an enforcement initiative on patient right of access. And yesterday, they're in the midst of saying he has directed us to, I think you said vigorous when you were telling me about it, enforce these cases or something like that. And then what was it, an hour later after the session that they said that, this one comes out.
I know.
Yeah. So this is the fastest turnaround ever on an enforcement action that I believe has ever happened. So they announced that in March. Ironically, on March 6th of 2019, they receive a complaint that Corunda Medical has refused to provide a patient their PHI in the requested format. And they didn't charge what they gave them, apparently, their PHI, probably on paper, because that's what everybody does. Mm-hmm. And they did not charge a cost-based fee to provide the records in the manner at all. So they contacted the Corunda folks on March 18th and provided what they called, quote, technical assistance. And when OCR says that, that's their nice way. That's when they call you up and they nicely say, unlike yesterday when they you're violating the law, because people are being less than nice about it. Generally they call up to say, you should really do this. They're trying to be nice and tell you what the law says. You should really do this. And
maybe they think that's addressable.
Well, this is a privacy rule. This isn't even security rule. So, they want you to learn the error of your ways. And so if you get technical assistance from OCR, that means that they are telling you what you should do. And, I've worked with groups where they call us in after the fact and they say, this is what we should do. And they're able to say, look, we brought Carden in and they've done this training and they did this and they did this. OCR is very happy.
Mm-hmm.
And off they go, and that's usually, that's good. Get your ducks in a row when something happens.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't do that. So according to the way the announcement was worded, the patient had repeatedly asked them to forward their medical records in electronic format to a third party. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And not only, this, but, they charged them out the wazoo, which is another issue about, so I'm going to charge you a bunch of money to send it in the wrong format and I'll do it when I get around to it. And so anyway, you'll never believe what happened next. They did nothing after they said, yes, thank you for the assistance. Then on March 22nd, 2019, so 4 days later, because what happens is you file the complaint and then OCR will send back to the patient who filed the complaint that we have investigated this and we provided, quote, technical assistance. And that's really all you'll get unless it makes the news. Because they don't tell you what happens behind the scenes. So I'm sure that the patient then called up and asked for it again. Right?
Yep. They said, nanner, where's my stuff?
So that's 4 days later. So that would be about the time that the patient would get the notification and then they would call again. And so OCR then hears from the patient again on March 22nd that, basically, it's a shout out to OCR. Mom, Dad, they're doing it again. And now OCR says, "Hey, we're gonna have to look into this." So in May they send them a notification that says, "You know what? We're gonna do an investigation of how you handle that." And what's interesting is so this happened. I mean, it's March, right? And so boom, and this year, I'm like, wow, I'm not used to seeing it the exact same year.
I know.
The only thing that it says in the resolution agreement, it says HHS's investigation indicated the following conduct occurred. That's the covered conduct, they call it. It's where you screwed up. Corona Medical failed to provide timely access to protected health information from April 22nd to May 12th, 2019. Okay.
Okay.
So not even a month. I'm not quite sure how all that came out, but they did make a point of saying that the second OCR intervention is when they finally provided the patient records to the third party in the requested format, and they did it for free.
That was so nice of them.
Yeah. You should have done that on March 19th.
But let me just say that it wasn't really free.
No.
It just cost them instead of the patient.
Yeah. It was, they didn't charge the patient for it, but everybody had spent way more time on this than anybody should have.
Yes.
So, I mean, you got the complaint, then the assistance, then another complaint, investigation, and a settlement between March and December. That's lightning fast. So they are actively pursuing these complaints.
Mm-hmm.
We've had multiple episodes where we talked about this. We talked about it in our HIPAA Summit episode. People better be paying attention. There's an initiative starting. And then we've talked about it over and over and over again because there's so much confusion.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead.
I was going to say, maybe we should just do an episode and call it You Have Been Warned.
Hey, there you go. Don't say we didn't warn you.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, it could be, it just so happened they, in March, decide they're going to do this initiative. They announce it, and boom, the very first one that comes in is these guys. Oh, wrong place, wrong time.
Mhm.
But they should have corrected that problem when they were notified. So when they received their technical assistance, that's when they should have taken care of it. And this again gets back to when you hear from them, stop playing around.
Yeah, I mean, this is your opportunity to fix it so that they just move on.
Right.
I mean-
and just say, man, it just, you contact the patient, you apologize, you have received technical assistance and from OCR, and this is what you're going to do to solve the problem.
Yeah, here's all your medical records. Now go away.
Yeah. Why not handle it that way immediately? But no, they didn't do that. But here you go. This settlement required them to stroke a check for $85,000. That's not a little bit of money.
That's some expensive medical records.
Mm-hmm. They ain't chump change. That's not, I mean, it wasn't even a month.
But wait,
Remember-
you mean it's not a hacking incident? It's not a breach? It's not a somebody sent the wrong email?
No.
Oh my gosh. You mean this is crazy.
It can happen for more than that. So, there's got to be some other stuff going on in the mix. Because we can't see, when they do the CMP, the money penalty now, where we've seen enough of those and we get to see the determinations where there's a lot more detail in there.
Mm-hmm.
But with this one, that's that one sentence. That's all we got. But for the telling them to pay $85,000, there's probably, that has to do with why did it take you until we came back and, bear down on you to get you to do it right, even though we told you what you were doing wrong.
Right. Which basically says, if I have to tell you one more time,
I know, right?
it's going to be bad.
Yeah, it's just, that's it is. Like, Mom, Dad.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly, what the scenario is the parents had to come in and straighten things out a little bit.
Yeah, they did.
Don't make me come in there, but they did. So, anyways, they wrote a check for $85,000 and they agreed to a 1-year civil money penalty, or 1-year cap. Sorry. Woo! 1-year cap that focuses on nothing but getting their policies and procedures corrected for patients' right of access. Again, I cannot stress this enough to them. They should get everything reviewed and get everything in line.
Mm-hmm.
Look at your entire privacy, security, breach notification requirements. Make sure you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, because once it's like those 3 strikes laws. They're starting to we just talked about that bad luck breaches one a few weeks ago that, 1, 2, 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
But again, Director Severino made it clear that their right of access initiative, he ain't playing.
Mm-mm.
So
He says for too long, like a long time.
preach it, brother.
For too long, healthcare providers have slow walked their duty to provide patients their medical records out of a sleepy bureaucratic inertia. I love his words.
I know. I don't know who came up with that one. It was good.
I know. We hope our shift to the imposition of corrective actions and settlements under our right of access initiative will finally wake up healthcare providers to their obligations under the law.
And see, he always throws in, this is the law. It's not my, it's the law.
Yeah, not just a good idea.
Yeah, it's not just a suggestion. It's the law. So, because, if they do nothing and they don't get all their ducks in a row, the only thing they do is correct this, and then they have a big data breach. Woo, it ain't going to be party up in there.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, they'll have their own tropical storm. Yuck, yuck, yuck. Yeah. So, again, these could be outright failures. We could read between the lines, but we're going to assume that in both these cases, people made mistakes, and then they were just those mistakes were exacerbated by poor decision making.
Mm-hmm.
Can we go with that?
Yeah.
All right, it's at least something, but hopefully, it wasn't a complete failure. But I don't know. It's hard to look at these and know what we know, and not, even this last one. I mean, it was this year. So again, one of the things that everybody's talking about, the CCPA and all these other rules that are coming into place, and they're asking, well, tell us how you do it with HIPAA. We still aren't doing it. You know what I mean? It's just it's a hit or miss. But I do have to say that people are way better now at understanding that they need to do this and why it matters and what it entails, and actually taking the time to do the work. It is a whole lot more responsive out there today than it was even 2 years ago.
Oh, yeah. It's getting there.
Progress. Like I said, I built this whole concept of a HIPAA-focused business in 2012. Unfortunately, it took several years for everybody else to understand. And I kept telling them, look, I'm bootstrapping my own business here. Help a sister out. Yeah,
the HIPAA is coming. The HIPAA is coming. Hurricane Roger's coming.
The HIPAA
yeah.
is coming.
Well, these people slow walk their duty.
I know, right? Bureaucratic inertia. I love that.
I know. But, that's just a fancy way of saying you was lollygagging.
Really? I was accused of lollygagging a lot when I was little. My younger years.
Yeah.
Quit your lollygagging. Come on, get this done. Yep. Shuck that corn. Split them peas. Pick them beans. Yeah.
Yeah. So you think we'll see another one before the end of the year?
Oh, yeah.
Got what? A couple weeks left?
Yeah. So we're recording this now on the 13th. Yeah.
Friday the 13th. What?
Might see one today. Somebody's unlucky day.
That's true.
But I know of several that are in the hopper that I don't know if they're going to get done this year, but if whatever we don't see in December, first quarter 2020 may be huge at the rate that, they're trying to resolve these things, because, we've now gotten into the deep part of the pool.
Yeah. Well, January of this year, they kind of slipped one in, it's kind of the end of the year.
Yeah. And counted it last year.
Yeah. So maybe they'll do that.
Well, at this point, they're almost up to the 2017, I want to say, level as far as quantity and of settlements or cases announced and the dollar amount that came from it.
Mm-hmm.
So they have not, hit the previous last year's record, but they are certainly making sure that they get a substantial amount, and it's nothing like what it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it all finally changed. Like 2014, we started really seeing enforcement.
Yeah.
And it's going to continue, and these initiatives are there for a reason. And, the number of people that tell us, we know what we're doing, we've got this covered, and you're like, but
yeah.
Did you read this over here? Oh, we know what we're doing,
Yeah, likely not.
And the arguments that you have with lawyers, I understand you're a lawyer. I'm not saying that I am or that I know better. I'm just saying I spend all day, every day in HIPAA. Do you? You know?
Well, the fun part is when you show them the law and they still argue with you. Not to say anybody's never done that to me. Reference a few weeks ago episode.
I know, right? Okay, so there you have it. We have covered enough of the madness for today, my friend.
All right, then. That sounds
So
like
this comes out in 2020, by the way. So welcome to 2020.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Next, we're going to do our predictions for 2020.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Get out
Hope
my crystal
everybody had a
ball.
good holiday.
Yep.
Now we just wait our way through the madness that will be 2020 because it's going to be crazy.
Yeah, I think so.
Buckle up.
Buckle up, Buttercup.
Okay, I'm done with that.
All right, that is our show for today, folks. Make sure you follow us on social media and share us out. Hey, we need some more ratings, so step up to the plate. Stop lollygagging. Give us some rating and reviews, people. Don't be slow walking. We need your help to spread the word. We do thank those that we gave a shout out to at the beginning of the podcast. ONC peeps, what? And Lucas, appreciate the tweet. So anyway, make sure to keep sharing it out. Remember, for Donna and myself, HIPAA is not about compliance. It's about patient care.
You've been listening to the Help Me with HIPAA podcast, hosted by Donna Grindle and David Sims. The show created to help you with HIPAA. For more information or to ask us a question, visit our website at helpmewithhipaa.com. Neither Donna Grindle or David Sims are attorneys, and they do not offer binding legal advice concerning regulatory compliance. The information in this podcast should not be relied upon or construed as legal advice in any way. Consult your attorney for legal advice concerning compliance with HIPAA regulations.